The Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business podcast brings you a unique view of Mesa through its vibrant business community and the subjects that are important. The podcast is produced in the Mesa Chamber of Commerce Media Studio, sponsored by the University of Phoenix. Our podcast is hosted by Mesa Chamber of Commerce CEO Sally Harrison. Please enjoy this episode of the Mesa Chamber Inside Business podcast.
Hi, I'm Sally Harrison, president of the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, and today we're in our podcast studio with my friend, Councilmember Julie Spilsbury, District 2 in Mesa.
Hello.
Hi.
So happy to be here.
I'm glad you're back.
Yes.
It's busy.
It is. Busy.
Yeah, well, we've got a lot to talk about. Let's start with, you won your re-election a year ago this month.
Yes, I did.
I can't believe it's been a year.
But
you won 65 to 35. I mean, that's a huge win.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a big win.
What motivated you to even do this again? Because I think personally you have to be a special kind of crazy.
Absolutely. I know. This is, besides raising 6 kids, as you know, I'm a mom of 6 kids, which is really the hardest thing I've ever done. This has been the hardest thing I've ever done. It's been incredibly challenging and incredibly hard. I've learned a lot and I've grown a lot as a person. And when I was trying to decide whether I should run again, I just thought, I have had way too many people pour way too much into me, spend time and resources to help me learn everything and understand everything. And I've made incredible relationship and friendships with people, and I felt like I had to keep going with that I couldn't just give up and make someone start over again.
Still work to do.
Yeah, there's still work to do, and I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, it's hard, but I'm really enjoying it, and we've done some amazing things in the 4.5 years that I've been on council, and I want to keep going. So
that's great.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy decision to make. So
well, I'm glad you did.
Thank you.
Well, looking back at those 4.5 years, what do you consider like your most proud accomplishments that you've had?
Yeah, as I was thinking, I actually, when I ran for re-election, I made a list. And when you actually sit down and write it all out, it's amazing how many things we've done. But some of the things that jump off the top of my mind, we have made some incredible investments in our public safety.
Yeah.
And with that being 2/3 of our budget and really what's the most important to our community, those are things I'm really proud of. We've done the Real-Time Crime Center, which is, I know, I've gotten to see it even in, when I did my ride-along in the helicopter, there was an incident that happened and they were working with the officers on the ground and with the Real-Time Crime Center. And so I got to see it all work together. It was so cool. And then also just one of my favorite things we've done is we've started these mental health crisis teams.
Thank you.
So now when you call 911, you'll either get police, fire, or these mental health teams, and really get the person who's best fitted to meet the needs of the person that's calling. And we've just seen, thousands of calls have been diverted, and often a person in uniform will escalate a situation. And so really just getting the right person there to that person has been incredible. And we just opened up a brand new substation and fire station over on Power and McKellips. It's beautiful.
I missed that opening.
It'll open up this summer officially. It's beautiful, and it will absolutely increase our response times. Meaning, I always say that backwards because it's confusing, but our response times will go down.
Yes.
Because of that out there. And so that's really exciting to that area, the northeast area of Mesa, which some of my district covers. So I am really excited about that because that will make it safer for that whole part of the city. So, and there's, 2 more fire stations being built. And anyways, I could go on and on, but public safety, we've really done a lot. And then I'm just, because I've chaired the Education Workforce Roundtable, I'm excited about a lot of the work that we're doing there too, and I think we can talk about some more of that later. But we've just done some really incredible things in the education space as well, and that's all about partnerships with our ASU and MCC and Benedictine and with EVIT and with Mesa Public Schools and all the school districts that are in our city, as well as the business community. So some of that stuff has been very exciting to me.
It's very cool.
A lot of the workforce stuff.
Well, what have you learned serving on the city council that's helped you in moving forward?
There's a lot. I know. Can I have an hour just to talk about this? There's a couple of things. I really feel strongly that nothing's black and white. I think that a lot of people live in a black and white world, and that we think things are either this way or that way, right or wrong. And there's just so much more complexity to every single issue. There's so many more sides to it. And so that's helped me to just like take a deep breath when I hear something and to know that there's probably more to the story and to dig in a little deeper instead of jumping to conclusions, giving people the benefit of the doubt, seeking for good intent, right? Like I've learned that, you know, our gut reaction is to kind of, you know, be upset about something when we first hear about it, or to think that we know the way it should be. And this has just really taught me that there's a lot more to every single situation, and we need to spend the time to research and to study and to talk to people so that we can really find out what the truth is, or at least, you know, help us to see the world differently, right? So
I think that's really good advice for anybody.
Yes,
though, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, because I've been so involved in the schools, when something happens with the school, like that's out of my purview.
Sure.
I'm friends with people on the school board, but we don't have anything to do with curriculum or decision making at the school. But I'm friends with a lot of people who have kids in school, right? And so, because that's where I spent 25 years of my life, was volunteering at my kids' schools. And so I'll have people email me or message me just freaking out about something, and I'm like, hey, let me find out more about that and I'll get back to you. And often it's not the scary situation that people think it is. There's usually some history there and some explanations of why something was decided or why something's been done. And anyways, I think it's just good for everyone. We are living very much in a world where we see something on the internet and we just think it's true.
Yeah.
And
unfortunately.
and you can repost anything. And so it works. That's why they call it clickbait, because it works, right? Fear works, and hysteria works, and anger works. And so everyone needs to slow down.
Yeah.
And, you know, I really, truly, probably the biggest thing I've learned is just that most people are really good.
Yeah.
Most people mean well. You can disagree with them, but
it's okay to disagree.
People are good at their core, and they want the same things, even if they disagree on how to maybe make that happen. We all want safety for our families, and we want to have good jobs, and we want to live in a clean community. And I mean, you know, just some of the things that we would all agree on. Sure. My eyes and my heart have been open to so many people that I didn't rub shoulders with before. And so that's been really neat. We have over 200 nonprofits in the city, right?
And so crazy.
Just realizing how many people are in our community that are doing good, that are trying to help people. It's been beautiful.
Well, you mentioned working with schools. For the listeners here that don't maybe know you very well, tell us a little bit more about your background.
Yeah, so I grew up here in Mesa. I actually grew up around the corner from my husband. He was my brother's best friend.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I know. So
cute.
I fell in love with him when I was 14, but we didn't date for many, many years till after that. But we got married, and we very intentionally decided to raise our kids here in Mesa.
Nice.
My husband had a tree care company, so I helped him run that business for over 2 decades. And I was a stay-at-home mom. We had 6 kids. We had 5 and 8 years, and we adopted 1. So they're all really close in age, and 5 girls and 1 boy. So I did the mom thing for a lot of years, working on our business from home, and then also just spent hours and hours and hours every week at the elementary, junior high, and high schools. PTO, president, booster presidents, you know, all the SIACs, all the different committees. That was my way I gave back to my community. Yeah. I've always really loved to serve. That's just something I think I was born with. And I like to say that I like to be in the room where it happens, from Hamilton, right? Like, I just like to be part of the conversation when things are being discussed. And I've been given some gifts and talents by God, I feel like, that have helped me to speak out and to be a leader and to really make some incredible things happen, you know, within the school lens. And so when I actually got asked to run for city council, I was not interested at all. But then I started realizing that these are all just the same people that I care about. And anyway, so it turned out to be a good place for me to extend that service of our community.
Well, talking about that, how did your personal and professional journey lead you to public service?
Yeah, again, I had no interest in this. When I first got asked, I was like, oh my gosh,
I don't do that.
Yeah, and I have like a lot of passion around education and families and children. But I didn't know that I could find that passion for, I don't know, like zoning or for water rights or for building permits, right? Like electricity, I just didn't think I would have that passion. It's actually been really cool because on the city council, you don't want 7 people that all have the same passions.
Yeah, right. No, that would be healthy for the city.
No, I think water is super, super important, and Mesa's done an incredible job. I don't have a passion for water. You're not going to hear the passion in me talk about water as you will talking about our nonprofit space or our education space or neighborhoods, right? Like really, really done a lot of work with community building in neighborhoods. So but those are the gifts that I get to bring to this, right? So I had thought about running for school board because of my work with Mesa Public Schools. My parents were both teachers, and I really, really just have a strong love and appreciation for teachers. They get paid nothing. My husband's now
rough job.
My husband's now a teacher. He switched careers and had his first year teaching 6th graders with emotional disabilities last year.
Gosh.
I know, probably one of the hardest first year teaching jobs you could have, but he wanted to do something that made a difference in the world, and it's beautiful. I love that he's doing it. But so I really feel strongly about teachers and education, and on city council, I get to partner with all these educational spaces and do some really cool things. But that's kind of, when I got asked, I was like, no. And then I got asked again, and I was like, no. And then I started watching all the council meetings, and I'm like, oh, there's no mom on our city council. And my voice isn't represented. And so there was only 1 woman at the time out of 7 people. We now have 3 for the first time. But at the time, there was no mother's voice. And that was who I rubbed shoulders with every day. At the schools and volleyball games and choir concerts and all of those kinds of things. And so I that's when I decided, my voice is needed on the city council. So that's been fun to just get to bring who I am to the city council.
Well, and thank you for doing that. It's important.
Thank you.
Well, you've raised your family here.
Yes.
How's being a Mesa resident shaped your perspective as a council member?
Yeah, I've literally lived here my whole life, and I loved my experience in Mesa Public Schools, and it's literally why my husband, he's like 5th generation Mesa. I am not, but my kids are like 6th generation Masons. But we love this community. We love the childhood we had. It's 520,000 people, but it does not feel like that.
No, it feels like a small town.
Unless you're driving from District 6 down to District 1, and it takes 40 minutes to get there. But, I mean, it does. The people and the interactions we have, it does feel like a small town. And I love that, but there's also all this exciting growth, and we kind of got the best of both worlds. Right. And I just love this community. I always have. I always will. My kids often want us to go move somewhere where there's beautiful mountains or better weather.
You can go visit and come back.
And I'm like, no, this is our home. I'm very invested in Mesa, and so. But being part of our community, and again, being so involved in the schools and the school district, and hearing what people are dealing with every day, like I said, I sat for hours and hours and hours at volleyball games, and you talk about things and how we're impacted by things in the city, and so I think it's been a huge help for me to know how to serve our city because I grew up here.
Well, let's talk more about community. Obviously, you're known for your involvement in the community. Maybe share some of the initiatives or maybe the organizations that you're passionate about, because I know you've got some passion.
I do. And, it's funny. I'm probably on too many boards. I think I know someone like that.
Maybe a few. Yeah.
But it is a fun way to be involved. Yeah. And some of them are my council responsibilities, and then some of them are not. Some of them are other ones that I've chosen to be on. I just came off the United Food Bank Board after 4 years.
My heart.
And that, I know you and I both share that. Yes. We love the United Food Bank and the incredible work that they do there.
They have touched so many lives, and I did not realize until I was on that board how stretched they are. I mean, when they started talking about all these communities that I didn't even recognize.
All over Arizona.
I did not know the names of these communities because I hadn't been here that long. I'm like, where is Snow or Snowflake or, there's just, such a reach.
Yes. They partner, that's the beauty. They partner with all these other organizations who can't do what they do because they're not as big. So that's been really fun to just be on that board, but then also bring my youth groups to go volunteer and my own kids to go volunteer. We do the Thanksgiving and Christmas, food food deliveries every year. And anyway, so that's been something that I've been really passionate about. I also serve on the Mesa Can Board, which is through A New Leaf, and also with Mesa United Way, which is now Azura. I sit on that board, and so those have both been several years that I've really loved. One of my favorite boards I sit on is the Idea Museum board, because I love the Idea Museum, and it's so much is happening there. If you haven't been in a few years, go visit, because it will be different
every time.
Yeah, it's really, really fun, and there's just a lot of exciting things happening over there. So that's a fun one for me. I recently have joined 2 statewide boards, trying to bring a little bit more light to the work we're doing in Mesa. I joined the Children's Action Alliance, which is a statewide advocacy group for children and education issues. And then I also joined Arizona Talks, which is a really fun nonprofit that's a little bit newer. Carlos Alfaro. They bring in people that think differently about issues, and they bring them together to talk in respectful civil dialogue. And I got asked to join that board, and again, I don't need another board to be on, but I felt like this was something I'm so passionate about. I'm a big believer in bridge building and working with people that think differently, and I think we're better when we do that. That's why one thing I'm super passionate about is talking about treating people with dignity and respect, and not seeing someone that thinks differently than you as your enemy or evil. And again, I think it's one of the secrets to our city council, because we don't all agree on everything. We're not all from the same political party, and even though we're absolutely elected nonpartisan, people want to make it partisan all the time. And so that's been really beautiful to just see, yes, I don't agree with you, but I respect you as a human being, and I really appreciate your point of view, and I'm going to learn from that, and we're going to be able to come up with a better solution to our problems when we get to do that. And so Arizona Talks just feeds into that desire that I have to help in that space with civil dialogue. I mean, my husband and I a few months ago went to one of their events where they talked about vouchers and the ESA stuff, which is super controversial. And it was just cool to see people talk about this from 2 different sides. So
and stay civil.
Yeah. Oh, and we just went to one on DEI, on diversity, equity, inclusion, and you had people on both sides of that. And it was really, there were some tense moments, but in general, showing how to have that. It doesn't matter what the topic is, it's showing how to have that civil dialogue.
That's
so,
great.
Anyways.
Well, so speaking of all these things, how do you possibly balance the responsibilities at City Hall and with all these community engagements that you do?
I will tell you the easiest way to do it is because I don't have kids at home anymore.
Okay, good point. Yeah.
I need to make sure that I always let people know my kids are 18 to 26.
Yeah.
So my last one left the house to go up to Utah last year. So I have my 2 oldest daughters just graduated with masters. So I used to say I have 5 kids in college, but now that they've both graduated, so now I have 3 in college, and a daughter that works for Mesa Public Schools actually. So anyways, having them out of the house gives me a little bit more free time. So that I could never have done this when I had a house full of kids.
Sure.
So, because all those boards typically are a monthly meeting, and then there's committees, and there's service opportunities.
So Jeremy's on his own for dinner.
Yeah. Well, I drag him to a lot of things.
Yes,
he goes to lots of functions with me. But I do feel like this is a time of, I don't have grandkids yet.
It'll come.
So I know it will come. I have a lot of kids, so it will eventually come. But I do have, when we sold our business, that got rid of that job for me too. So right now I am just 100% full-time doing city council, which is why I've been able to devote a lot of time and energy to this position.
That's great.
So,
Well, talk about any of the youth programs or education-focused efforts that you're currently working on. I mean, you mentioned
yes,
the
the education. Yeah, and I'm through that. One of my things that I'm super proud of is our Mesa College Promise program that Mayor Giles started, and that allows any Mesa high school student to go to Mesa Community College for 2 years for free. And then last year they opened it up to over 24 to adult learners. And my own son-in-law took advantage of that program. He had graduated and hadn't gone back to school, had tried a few times and just struggled with it. And he's 25, and he decided that because of the Mesa College Promise program, he was going to go back, and he's doing engineering. He wants to become an aeronautical engineer, and he's really, really smart, and he's gotten the support that
That's
he
great.
needs through this program. And so it's affecting our own life. And so that's when it's not just people in the community. I'm
Right.
actually getting to see it firsthand. So I'm really
That's
proud
cool.
of that. Something our roundtable started 2 years ago was our literacy initiative called Read on Mesa in partnership with Read on Arizona. And so, you know, we all know those third grade reading scores were abominable. So
Yes.
we needed to figure out what we could do. And we brought in about 12 different organizations to all partner on that. And so that's been really neat to see the AARP program that is partnering with Mesa Public Schools and City of Mesa, bringing in volunteers, just anyway, so many cool things with just that literacy initiative, and reading's the foundation to everything else.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the type of thing I'm talking about when we don't have anything we don't have any control over decision making for education or for our public school districts, but we can do a lot of partnerships. And I don't think people realize in Mesa, we actually have Queen Creek schools, we have Gilbert schools, and Higley schools,
Yeah.
all within the boundaries of Mesa. And so we care about all those kids too, right?
When we moved here, oh my gosh, almost 22 years ago, I did all this work, you know, all this research on Mesa Public Schools. I was so excited when we got here, and I was told by the owners of the house we were purchasing that, oh, this is actually Gilbert School District. And I'm like,
Oh,
what? How does that work?
I know, it's confusing.
It
I
is
wish
very
it wasn't
confusing.
that way,
Yeah.
but someone made those decisions long ago because
Yeah.
it is very confusing. But we have to work with those school districts as
Right.
well, right? So all 4 of those superintendents sit on the roundtable, as you know,
Yes.
since you are also on the
Yes,
roundtable.
no, it's a great group.
And I have to mention, because I loved the partnership I've been able to have with you and the chamber, just because it's a passion of ours, is just the mental health
Yeah.
initiatives.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, and we haven't done anything super recent, so we need to change that. But we've been able to partner with Copa Health in the past and do some really, really incredible work. It is.
It's important. We just, you know, there's too many students that are facing mental health issues, and I think since COVID, it has just gotten worse.
Absolutely.
You know, kids weren't supposed to be isolated like they were for
No.
such a long period of time. It's just, it's hard to watch.
Yeah, and with social media, like
Yeah,
just
that's
the
not helping.
yeah, no, and so that's something I feel really strongly about. And with that, the city has received a lot of money, and we will continue to receive a lot of money on the opioid lawsuit, you know, money that we're getting. And so we've really had to look at how we want to spend that. And I pushed and made sure that we looked at junior high and high school kids and doing preventative and education stuff around that, just that fentanyl awareness. And so that, again, all my passions for teenagers and kids and mental health and all of that, getting to have a influence on how things are done in the city is really powerful. And I have a unique view because of my experiences as a mom and with all my kids that that I get to bring that to the city council.
That's great.
So yeah.
Well, you mentioned partnership with the chamber. I appreciate all you do with and for us. How would you describe your relationship with Mesa Chamber of Commerce?
Yeah, well, and I can't believe I haven't even brought it up yet, because as a former small business owner for over 2 decades, it's a huge thing to me, as you know. Like when I first ran for council in 2020, I was talking about small businesses and what we could do to help there. And we have made a lot of improvements. There's still things that I want to continue working on that we continue to have conversations around. I do think that the city needs to have the role of supporting and helping and not over-regulating and not making it harder for small businesses.
Yeah, thank you.
And so that's something I feel really passionately about. We early on in my first term, we were able to get a small business liaison so that if you're a small business, you can call the city and talk to one person instead of 5 different departments or whatever, right? Because it's just hard. It's confusing. And if English isn't your first language or, you know, whatever the reasons might be, it's hard for anyone.
Well, a small business person doesn't necessarily know the hoops, right? And how to navigate all the city processes.
Yes.
And, you know, who might be the right person to talk to for what issue. And it is tough. I mean, I'm glad that some of our members with issues actually reach out to us, and then we're able to help them navigate that process.
And then our offices are made aware of what some of these issues are that we wouldn't have known otherwise.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about like big business that Mesa brings in, and our economic development department's amazing, and we really have just, I mean, over the last 5 years, it's remarkable to see what we've attracted and how many jobs we've brought. But small businesses will always be the backbone of any community. And you guys do both. Like, you do both.
Yes,
but
we do have both.
Yeah.
But the small ones are the ones that really need more assistance.
Yeah, absolutely.
And guidance and just, keeping them on path.
And we've seen some really incredible success stories happening. And we've poured millions of dollars into our small business support, our over at the studios that's just north of the ASU building in downtown Mesa. There's a whole small business builder on the second floor. Yeah. There's a basement, so I was going to say third floor. But on the second floor is all stuff, and the basement is all stuff to help support small businesses. And so we really have made it a priority as part of the economic development department to focus on small businesses and to help support. We have our restaurant incubator coming that will help, in that space. So anyways, that I think all of that goes hand in hand with the chamber. And then I do really just appreciate getting your voice on things. You guys see things and hear things differently than we do. And so when we get those letters that say like, hey, be careful of this, or we support this, like that is very helpful.
Well, and I'm glad that you say that because we might not always agree. Right. And it's okay.
Yep.
For us, it's important that everybody continues to understand the mission and vision of the chamber and that we are here to support business. And so sometimes, yes, we'll write a letter that maybe isn't overly accepted by some of the council or city leadership, but at the same time, we're doing what we believe is in the best interest of the business community. That's the lens we look at.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely. And that's the lens you have to look through.
And that is our job as a chamber, and we will continue to do that, knowing that we're going to hit butt heads once in a while, but in general, I think we're in a great city that has the right leadership that sees the bigger picture, and most of the time we're on the same page.
Yeah, and I love that you brought that up because I do think it's an important thing to acknowledge that listening to both sides, like, might mean that you still disagree, right? Like, but you're engaged, you're listening, you're respectful of each other. Sometimes I've been accused of like not listening to people. Well, I'm always listening. I'm learning, I'm engaged, I want to hear all the sides. I might not agree with you at the end, and that doesn't mean I didn't listen to you, right? It just means that I had to make a different decision. And so sometimes I do think the city has to make a different decision or whatever, because we're looking at it through a different lens. But I think I find your input very helpful.
Well, I appreciate that. I think that's part of the partnership, right?
Yes.
Just for people who are listening and may not be aware, the Chamber of Commerce, which is now about 140 years old, and no, I haven't been here the whole time.
Wow.
Some days I feel like it, but we have never been funded by the city.
Right.
We do have a couple of departments that are chamber members, but as far as like the city manager's office, the mayor's office, they are not members and do not fund us, which frankly is a benefit to membership and I think to the partnership that we have, because we can be free in our our messaging, and I think it's important that it's heard as it's intended, as a voice of business.
Totally. And it makes it so much more transparent, because then you can't be accused of doing things for different reasons, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, and I one more thing I want to mention that I really appreciate, because I do try to go to everything, is just all the ribbon cuttings. Right?
65 last year.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's so many. And so the chamber reaches out to whoever's district it's in, and if it's a bigger one, then more of us will go to it. But I love to know so some of the businesses will reach out to us, but often they don't. And so then I know who's coming into my city. I make that or into my district, and I make that connection with them, and then they can turn to me when they need help. And having that introduction to that relationship is really facilitated by the chamber.
Well, and I will say that when you are able to attend, it makes all the difference in the world to that business, right?
Absolutely.
They're just getting settled in and opening their doors, and to have a representative of the city be at an opening for them is very special.
And it's so, I love getting to talk to them and saying, what went well in this process? What struggles did you have in this process? Because then I can learn how we can be better, how our departments in the city can be better at helping with those openings. So,
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, maybe mention some ways that you see the business community and the city government collaborating more for Mesa's growth. Because, I mean, people say, we've grown so much, but there's still opportunity for growth, right?
Yeah, one thing that's super exciting to me right now that I just could not be more excited about because of the dynamics of my district. We have, for the first time, have 2 positions funded through the city council and through our budget process to just work on redevelopment areas.
Yay!
And I'm so excited about
That's
it.
great
Jeff
news.
Robbins was kind of heading that up.
Uh-huh.
And we just had a presentation last week at our study session, and they've kind of picked out some areas. A lot of it's down Main Street, and as you probably know, I have Main Street from basically like Lindsay all the way to Sossaman, and so I don't have any of the downtown area, but I have like that whole stretch,
You have
Buckhorn
the stretch
Bass.
that could be redeveloped.
Right. So we have empty lots, and we have rundown areas, and we have empty shopping centers. And we have 140 square miles in the city of Mesa. I mean, it's ridiculously big.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes it feels like so overwhelming to think like, how could we clean up the whole city or whatever, right? And so having people that are focused just on some of these redevelopment areas is so exciting to me, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Fiesta Mall obviously is getting redeveloped right now. Superstition Mall's going to be needing that. If you drive down Power, you'll see some spots of Power that need some of redevelopment. I'm just there, and then obviously there's downtown stuff too. But so where I see the chamber really helping in that is Jeff has to reach out to all of these owners of all these properties and be like, hey, what are you doing with your empty shopping center? Do you want redevelopment? Can we bring some people with some ideas and some different companies and different businesses that might want to either expand in Mesa or relocate to Mesa. And so I think there's just going to be a ton of opportunities for that.
Well, and it's fun to see the old and new together.
Yes.
We're doing some traveling. Obviously, we don't have a history like some of the other countries, but but it's fun to see something new come up, and then it by default helps the businesses around.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
and they're really here's a perfect example. Buckhorn Bass is on like Wrecker in Maine. It's incredibly historic in Mesa, but it is absolutely the worst eyesore right now. Yeah. And we have a new landowner, a new developer. We've been having meetings. There's historic preservation happening. They've already signed on with a company to help start going on the sign to redo the sign. So we'll keep that historic piece on the corner and then build some multifamily housing around the backside to kind of help bring that. But there's exciting plans for that corner mixed in with the historic part. And that would so uplift that area.
Yeah.
It would be huge.
That would be great.
So that's just one example. And there's tons more that our historic preservation office, our planning department, the redevelopment department are all economic development, right? They're all partnering on how to make some of these areas work.
Okay, little offshoot.
Yes.
You mentioned the sign. We can't not mention the
Neon Garden. Yes, it's so fun.
It is so cool. So that is behind the post on, what is that?
Pepper.
Yeah, and you can see it from the outside of the garden. You don't have to go inside through a gate, but you can see it. And it is beautiful.
It's so fun. My dream would be that it could be a public space so that anyone could go in at any time and take pictures, but obviously there's concerns there with what people might do to the signs or whatever. So we're kind of talking through some of that. But right now it's a space that they will use for public events, but then also you can rent it. So if you were going to rent out the post, which is the first post office in Mesa that's been turned into an event center, it's
great
beautiful.
Space. Yeah.
I've been there for, I don't know, probably 30 different events over the last couple years.
I asked Chris Brady if you just redid that just for retirement parties, because that's so
retirement. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's such a cool space, like original floors, there's stuff on the wall, it's beautiful. And so then now you can rent that Neon Garden part for things too. Nice. And there's a stage, so at the opening they had a band up there. Yeah. Food trucks can come in. And if you grew up in Mesa like I did, I remember those signs, right? The Dairy Queen sign, it's so cool. And they even have a replica of the diving lady up on the building, which is fun too. So that's a fun nod to our history here in Mesa. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about something not so fun.
Yeah.
A recall.
Mm-hmm.
Julie, like,
I know.
what the heck?
I know.
I mean, when I first saw this come out, I was like, what? Wait, we just had an election.
Yeah.
So what's this experience been like for you? Because I can only imagine it's like a hell.
Yeah, it's been really, really hard. I do not claim to be a perfect person, but something that I am is...
Show me one person that is.
Well, right, but I am nice. I'm a very nice person,
nice.
and I'm a good person, and I
Yeah.
care deeply about Mesa, and
Yeah.
I'm totally serving just to serve. Like, I don't have political aspirations.
Yeah.
I don't do it for the power, right? Like, I certainly don't do it for the money. My heart is in the right place, and I have tried absolutely over the last 4.5 years to do what I feel is right in my heart. And that's the only way for me to serve and to lead.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say, like, you know, you didn't listen to us, or we didn't want this, or whatever. So I think this is an important point to make. Every district represents 85,000 people. That's bigger than Flagstaff. That's a lot of people. And you tell me how you're supposed to know what the majority of your district wants.
Right.
If you get 30 emails and they're really loud people that are telling you what they want or don't want, that's not the majority. It's not even close to the majority.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, the way that I have chosen to lead is that I'm going to do what I feel is right for our whole city. So the homeless hotel, so there's three...
Talk about the issues that sparked this.
They have put down... So first of all, there are no actual legal reasons why you can recall someone. I think it should be that you've done something,
oath,
yes,
right?
Something against my oath, like ethics, something that you've done illegally, some sort of malfeasance.
Diet Dr. Pepper's not going to get you into trouble, Julie.
Right, that's my joke. I always say they could actually recall me because I drink too much Diet Dr. Pepper. You've probably heard me say that, right?
When we were at the fire department, yeah.
Oh, there you go. So that's always my joke, because they can literally recall you for anything, which I think we need to change. It should absolutely be held for something that you've done illegal, right? So I've done nothing wrong. The 3 votes that they're putting as their reason are our vote on our utility rate increase, which was an average of $5 a month, our salary increase, which was a cost of living increase, and then the homeless hotel. So those first 2 votes were 7-0 votes, including our current mayor, Mark Freeman. So they're not going after anyone else, even those were 7-0 votes. Also, like, Gilbert just passed a utility rate increase, which is an average of $30 a month. Ours is $5 a month. So I could go on and on about each of these issues.
Yeah.
But the homeless hotel one is interesting because that was in my district. It's Power and Main. Our city had some COVID dollars left, and we were trying to think the best way to use it. We have had a really successful off-the-streets homeless program since 2020.
That is currently at another hotel, right?
We lease rooms now from a hotel that's just about a mile away from this location. They could raise those rates on us at any time, and they have. It's 17 acres, so it's a little bit harder to monitor coming in and out of there. We don't provide services. We work with nonprofits that provide those services. So we're just providing the housing. And we have 24-hour police presence, and the neighborhoods around there have really appreciated that 24-hour police presence.
Sure.
So when this came up to get this property, there could be an argument made that it's not the government's role to spend money on this. I thought this was the perfect way. You end up paying for homelessness either way.
Right.
So we made this hotel. It's 2 acres. We have a new, it's actually currently being redone right now. It should open up hopefully this fall. But new landscaping, a new fence all the way around, cameras, 24-hour police presence, completely redoing it. And it was a pretty bad rundown property to start with. It was not good.
Yeah.
It was actually kind of sketchy. So this will absolutely improve that area. In the meantime, we did hear from residents that were concerned about safety things and stuff, and we have put in new lighting, we've looked at sidewalks, we've looked at alleys, we've looked at streets, and tried to help that area that was just an area that used to be County Island.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciated the neighborhood input so that I was aware of some issues that were there. But what we did is we made this hotel be just for domestic violence victims, children, and elderly / veterans. So it's really the most vulnerable of the homeless population. And when I would be out in our community talking to nonprofits and faith-based organizations, every single one said, we need 5 of these.
Yeah.
The ones that are actually doing the work in our community.
Sure.
So to me, this was like a no-brainer. I absolutely supported it. I still support it. I have no regrets for that vote. There were some people in my district or that lived around there that didn't want it, that were very vocal that they didn't want it. We had a state legislator get involved, and she didn't think that I was listening to my constituents, and accused me of that. There were other people. There's a couple of like elder, what do you call them? Like retirement communities, because that's a lot of retirement communities are right there, that were so excited about this that when I would go talk to them, they would say, can we do a backpack drive for school? Can we do a toy drive for Christmas?
Yeah. Nice.
They saw it as like an opportunity to serve these families. Jefferson Elementary is right there across Power, and they have a lot of families that had been living in the park. And the principal was like, this is amazing that they could live in a place like this if instead of being homeless in a park as they're attending school, right? When you talk to our police department and our fire department, they are grateful for programs like this, so they have somewhere to send people when they run across them. So the homelessness issue is a hard one, it is, but this, to me, this is not something that I should be recalled for. So
no, and you weren't the only vote.
No, not at all. It was a 4-3 vote. But so those are the 3 reasons, the official reasons they put to recall me. The real reason is that they don't like my politics, and I am very, very proud to serve on a city council that is nonpartisan. We are elected nonpartisan. We don't just represent all Republicans and all Democrats and all independents. We actually represent everyone that don't vote either, right? So we represent every person, and every person matters to me. And so I am not on the city council to protect a conservative agenda or to protect a liberal agenda. And I have really taken that seriously. 95, maybe higher % of what we do on a city council is not partisan. Our roads, our libraries, our parks, our water, our trash pickup. When the police and fire come to you, they don't say, well, are you a Republican?
Right.
Who did you vote for president? Right? Like, that's just not what we do on the city council. And so to have this is an outside, out of state, outside special interest group that's behind this. They're funding it all. They don't like that I don't support their presidential choice, and they are paying for this. And no one in Mesa should be okay with this. No one should be okay with an outside group coming in and telling us that we all have to think the same way, and that we want everyone on our city council to think the same way, even if you might agree with them, right? So I'm so passionate about making sure we have different voices. We do not want 7 people on a city council that all think the same way.
No.
There's no growth in that.
No, it would not be good.
And we would not come up with really incredible things for our city if that was the way it was. So I feel really strongly that this recall is bad, that it's wrong. They did get the signatures that they need. We are actually going to call the special election tonight at our council meeting, and it will be on November 4th.
Okay.
So
what do you say to your...
And only people in District 2 can vote in it.
Right.
Yes.
But others in the city could encourage those voters to do the right thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what do you say to your constituents that are supporting the recall?
Yeah, it's hard. I actually have neighbors. I have people I go to church with. Wow, I was going to try so hard not to cry. This has been hard.
Yeah,
and
I can imagine.
I have a lot of people that I know and that I love who don't support me, that signed the petition to recall me. And what I want to say to them is, please have a conversation with me. Yeah. No one will reach out and talk to me. They just hear things, they believe things. I've been begging people, just talk to me. I'm really nice. Like, I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to try to tell you you're wrong and that I'm right. I'm just going to explain to you where I'm coming from and where my heart is, and I want to hear where you're coming from. I had about 10 people reach out to me through this whole signature process that were like, hey, we just heard about the recall, or someone came into my door and I wanted to talk to you about it. And I appreciated that so much. And you know that not one of those people signed the recall petition.
Good.
There were actually, and they might not agree with me, right? They might be like, yeah, we don't agree with your vote on this or this, or we wished you had supported this presidential candidate or whatever. but they all could feel where my heart was and that I'm really, truly doing this for the right reasons.
Right.
And frankly, that I'm a good person.
Yeah.
And that means something. Those are the kind of people we want on a city council.
Yeah.
We want people who are fair, who are hardworking, who will work with other people that think differently than them, who are ethical, right?
Yeah.
Like, even though we might not agree with them. And so I really just, I'm just begging people to have a conversation with me.
Well, and we want that too. I mean, obviously, we endorsed you both times you ran for office, and we're happy to do that after getting to know you through the interview process.
Yes.
Our Good Government Committee and then our board chose to endorse you both those times. And when all of this recall came up, met and decided that you hadn't done anything wrong, so why should you be recalled? And decided to endorse you again. Talk about the others that have come forward to support you, because I know that there are a lot.
There are, and I just want to express my appreciation and gratitude to the Chamber for always having my back and always supporting me. And
thanks for being a good council member. That's all we ask.
Well,
right?
and like you said, like we might not always agree on everything as a chamber and a council, but I always appreciate the Chamber, and we have such a good relationship, and we've been able to work so well on so many great initiatives. Yeah. And your support means so much to me. In fact, one of the Mesa Tribune articles that came out, they actually put your statement in there and ended the article with it, which I just so appreciated. I have the entire, both Mesa police unions supporting me again for the third time, and the fire union absolutely is supporting me again, and that means everything too, to have the public safety. Those men and women are my heroes, and I am so grateful. They're good people, and I'm so grateful for the work they do in our city, and that they trust me, and they know that I have their back. So that's been huge. I had kind of an interesting experience early on in the recall. I decided, oh man, I better look at my supporter list, and because it was from when I ran for re-election, and so I thought, I want people to be able to take their name off that or to add their name. And so I put a post on Facebook, and I just said, hey, if anyone wants to take their name off, I understand. I'd love for you to talk to me about it, but I will take your name off. I respect that. And also if you want to add your name. So I had 9 people sent me messages, asked me to take their name off, which was so hard. Like, I'm not gonna say that wasn't hard. All 9 of those people hurt. And very few of them, I don't know if any of those ones had a conversation with me. But anyways, I had over 400 people.
That's huge.
Either write on my post, message me, text me, send me a Facebook Messenger asking me to add their names.
Oh, that's
I mean, it was amazing. And I have so much support. So many people are just not okay with this. Even if a few people have heard about the vote tonight and have reached out to me this morning and just see if I'm okay and to tell me they support me. The problem is that a lot of them don't live in my district, right? And only people in my district can actually vote. It's going to be all mail-in ballot. And so I'm trying to, anyone that wants to, they can go on my website. There's ways to support. Obviously, I have to raise money again, which is so dumb. I just raised money last year for this election. And now I have to raise money again. I have to run a whole new campaign. And I don't know who I'm running against. That's the other thing. We have to actually call the election, and then they can turn in the statement of interest. So we'll find out soon who I'm running against. But yeah, and the group that's doing this has a lot of money. This outside interest group has a lot of money.
And that's what we should all be concerned about, right? That these are people from outside our state that basically want to come in and influence what's happening, not just with council, but within the city. And we don't need that. We don't want that.
And that's not to say there are not people who live in our city who are mad at me, who are out getting signatures, right? But they're not funding it. And they were not. Lots and lots of the petition gatherers work for this organization. So because people will say, like, no, this is grassroots. This is grassroots. I'm like, no, there are some people, but they are not paying any money. Only this group is the one paying money for this. And so they have a lot of money, and they want everyone to think the way that they do. And so I am going to need a lot of support. And so even if it's someone just talking to your other friends and family that live in Mesa, who might have someone that lives in my district, or a cousin, or someone your kids go to school with, their parents, or, like, we just got to get the word out that this is happening. And again, even if you might agree with that organization or you don't agree with me, this is wrong. This is not good for our city.
So if somebody wants to sit down and talk to you, now that they've heard you and went, maybe I should ask some more questions, how can somebody get a hold of you?
So everything, the easiest way to get a hold of me is through my city council. But if you specifically want to talk, which again, it's fine. If you send it to my city council email, my assistant will just shoot it over to my personal email. But probably the best way is just on Facebook.
Okay.
Like get on Facebook. I'm super easy to find and send me a message because I can't use any city resources for a re-election or for a campaign. And so, but again, strangers will hear about this and email my city council email, and then my district coordinator will just shoot it over to my personal. But I'm very easy to find. Instagram, Facebook, I'm very, very easy to find. And then also just spilsburyformesa.com is my website.
Okay.
You can also put a message in there that you want to talk to me.
Okay.
I check all those emails, as does my campaign team. So I'm very easy. I'm very, very accessible. So.
All right.
Yes.
Anything else that we haven't covered?
No, I think we covered everything. I'm really, really grateful for what you guys do in our city and make it a better place for all of us to live here. So
it's a team effort.
It is. That's the coolest part. There's so many people working together to make it happen.
This great community that really, you get to know people and then you see them at so many things.
Yes.
And it's that whole group of people that just run in the same circles.
Yes.
And they're big circles,
yes,
right?
Really, really big circles.
There's a lot going on in this community, and we should all be proud of what has happened here in the last few years, and that the opportunities are just vast.
Yes.
It's a great place to be.
I agree.
Well,
Love
thank you
it.
for being here.
Thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you so much.
This has been a Mesa Chamber of Commerce Inside Business podcast. You can find all podcast episodes at iTunes, Spotify, or your own favorite podcast website. You can also find them online at mesachamber.org. Content of this podcast is copyright the Mesa Chamber of Commerce, unless otherwise noted.